The street looked calm, like a picture on a postcard. Lawns were trimmed, hedges were neat, and sprinklers clicked in soft rhythms each morning. Children rode small bikes in the evenings. Dogs went on friendly walks. Cars drove slowly because the speed bumps made everyone gentle. It was the kind of neighborhood where people waved from their driveways. That calm was the first thing anyone noticed. The second thing, if they stayed long enough, was the rules. The neighborhood had an HOA with a thick handbook, and the handbook touched almost everything. Paint colors, mailbox height, holiday lights, even where to put your trash bins on collection day. Jamal had moved there 2 years ago. He liked order and peace. He liked his little lemon tree by the front window and his small herb garden near the back fence. He liked knowing he could leave a pair of running shoes by the door and not worry. He worked from home as a bookkeeper, so he had a habit. He kept records of everything: receipts, letters, emails, photos of a fresh repair. It calmed him. He thought it made life simple, the same way neat columns make a spreadsheet easy to read. He paid his HOA fees on time. He learned the rules. He even printed a checklist and stuck it to the inside of his hall closet. Trash out after 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Cans behind fence by 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Grass cut every 10 days in spring. He smiled at that list. It made him feel ready. At first, the HOA notices he received were small and normal. Thank you for your payment. Meeting next Thursday. That kind of thing. Then a letter came about a garden hose left visible from the street. He had coiled it neatly, but the rule said, not visible. He nodded, moved the hose, and took a photo of the change. A week later, he got another letter, this time about his porch light bulb being warm instead of cool white. He changed it. He took another photo. He told himself this was fine. Rules were rules. He liked order. He started to notice a pattern, though. A white pickup would slow past his house more often than other houses. A clipboard would rest on the driver's lap. The driver was a woman with tidy hair and quick eyes. She was a board member, everyone knew that. People called her the HOA Karen behind polite smiles, but they did not say it to her face. Her real name was on emails and meeting notes. She spoke sharply at meetings. She liked measurements, dates, and words like compliance. Jamal understood that. He liked those things too. Still, there was a difference in tone. Her tone felt like a hard ruler on a soft desk. The letters began to come faster. One said his grass was 2 inches too high. He measured it and found it short. He took a photo with a ruler beside it. Another said his trash bin lid did not close all the way. He looked and saw it closed, clicked shut. He took a photo of that too. He made a folder on his computer and named it HOA. He added the date to each file name. He told himself this was simply good practice. One bright Saturday, he was washing his car when the board member's white pickup slowed again. She did not wave. She stared at the edge of his driveway, then at the number on his mailbox, then at the shrub near his porch. She parked, stepped out, and walked straight up to the hedge with a small metal tool. She measured the height and wrote something on her clipboard. Jamal turned off the hose, wiped his hands, and greeted her with a smile. "Good morning," he said. "Something I can help with?" She looked at him for a half second and then at the shrub again. "This hedge must be below 36 inches, she said. "It appears to be above that. Your porch light is also casting glare toward the street." "I changed the bulb," he said gently. "Warm to cool white. I have the box if you need to see it." "The glare is the issue," she said. "Not the color." She tapped the metal tool against the hedge top. "And this growth. It must be trimmed." "I can trim it today," he said. "No problem." She did not answer that. She wrote more on the clipboard and walked back to her truck. The engine started. The truck rolled away. Jamal stood there, with the towel in his hand, and watched the tailgate disappear around the curve. He breathed out slowly, then went to his garage for the trimmer. He trimmed the hedge and took a photo. He stepped across the street and took another photo from the sidewalk. He printed the best one and placed it in a thin binder with clear sleeves. The binder already had tabs: fees, repairs, photos, letters. On Monday, another letter arrived about a porch item visible from the street. It was the small wooden crate where he kept a watering can. He moved it behind. The hedge. He took a photo again. That evening, his neighbor Rosa walked over with a small plate of cookies and a worried look. "Hi," she said softly. "I saw the truck again. She was also at my place last week. I think she is looking for small things to write up." Jamal thanked her for the cookies. "I don't want trouble," he said. "I only want to follow the rules. If I'm wrong, I will fix it." Rosa nodded. "You are very careful, everyone knows that." They stood for a moment watching the sky change color. A group of kids laughed down the block. A dog barked once and then quieted. The calm of the street felt real, but there was a thin hum under it, like a fridge you can hear if you listen long enough. A few days later, the HOA sent a letter about escalating fines. It said he had not corrected the hedge height, the porch glare, and the visible crate. He read it twice. He looked at his photos. He looked at the dates and times in the photo files. He printed the metadata that showed when the photos were taken. He put those pages in the binder. Then he wrote a polite email to the HOA address and asked for proof, including the measuring method and the time of the check, noting that he had corrected each item and attached photos to show it. He kept the email simple and kind. He said, "Please and thank you." He sent it and saved a local copy. At the next HOA meeting, he sat near the back with his binder on his lap. The board members sat at a folding table. The room smelled like coffee and floor polish. People asked standard questions: parking, pool hours, a broken swing in the small playground. When the chair asked if there was any other business, Jamal raised his hand. He walked to the front and spoke into the standing microphone. His voice was calm. He explained that he had tried to correct each item noted in the letters and that he had photos and dates. He asked if the board could review these corrections and update the record so the fines would stop growing. The board member with the tidy hair watched him with a steady expression. The chair thanked him and said the board would review his documents and respond. Jamal placed a small copy set of his photos and emails on the table. He did not speak again. He returned to his seat. He listened as the board spoke about seasonal flowers around the community sign. He clapped politely when the meeting ended. The next week, a different kind of letter arrived. It was firmer in tone. It mentioned the possibility of a lien if non-compliance continued. Jamal set the letter on his kitchen island and felt a small twist in his stomach. He did his usual thing. He took a photo of the letter, saved it in the letters folder, and added the date to the file name. He made a new tab in the binder called Fines and Threats. He slid the letter inside. That afternoon, he was walking. His dog, when a neighbor he did not know well, slowed his steps near the corner and lowered his voice. "Be careful," the neighbor said, eyes flicking toward the white pickup 2 streets over. "She has friends at the sheriff's office." He shrugged like he wasn't sure, then walked on, leaving the words floating in the warm air. Jamal stood still for a moment. He felt the dog's leash tug gently. He looked down the block at the pickup, then back at his home. He did not like rumors. He liked facts. He told himself not to make a story based on whispers. He bent to scratch the dog's ears and kept walking. That evening, he reviewed his binder again. He checked each tab. Fees, all paid. Repairs, receipts with dates. Photos, clear views, measurements, timestamps. Letters, each one filed and labeled. Emails, copies printed with headers. It steadied him to see the pages, neat and in order. He made tea, sat by the window, and looked at the lemon tree leaves catching the last light. He decided on a simple plan. He would keep doing what he had done, stay calm, follow the rules, and collect facts. He would not argue in the street. He would not raise his voice at a meeting. He would not post angry messages online. He would ask for proof each time and answer, with proof of his own. He would build a clear record page by page like a careful bridge across a difficult gap. The next morning, the white pickup passed again. He waved. The driver did not wave back. A day later, a notice was taped to his door while he was out buying groceries. It said there had been a compliance visit. It said he had refused to correct items. He read the note twice. Then, checked the time on it, and compared it to his receipt from the store. He had not been home. He took a photo of the note on the door, then another photo of the clean porch from the street. He added both to his folder. He wrote a short email. I was not home during the time listed. Here are photos from this afternoon, please advise. He kept it polite. He sent it. Later, as the sun lowered, he saw Rosa again. She brought him a small newspaper clipping about public records. You should know you can ask for things like visit logs, she said gently. My cousin did that once when a city inspector kept missing their house. Thank you, he said, meaning it. He read the clipping. He looked up the state website that explained how to make a request. The pages were friendly and clear. He bookmarked TIU. The next week began with small noises and big feelings. A leaf blower hummed down the street. A lawnmower rattled somewhere behind the houses. A delivery truck stopped, then moved on. Jamal tried to stay with his routine. Morning walk with the dog, coffee, work in neat rows of numbers, lunch at the same time each day. But his eyes kept going to the window. He watched for the white pickup without meaning to. He reminded himself again and again to breathe slowly and to do the next right thing. On Tuesday afternoon, he found a new letter in his mailbox. The word final was in bold at the top. It said he had not corrected the same 3 items he had corrected weeks ago. It added a new note about yard decor because a small wind chime hung near his porch. He held the letter under a bright lamp, read it twice, and set it down flat on the counter. He took a photo of it and saved it in his letters folder. Then he took a photo of the wind chime from the sidewalk. It was small, not flashy, and it did not make noise unless the wind was strong. He filed the photo with the day and time in the file name. He wrote a calm email asking for the measuring notes, the visit times, and the exact rule number about the chime. He added 3 pictures that showed his corrections. He clicked send. He exhaled. That night, around 10:30, his doorbell rang. It was a firm ring, not friendly. He checked the peephole. A sheriff's deputy stood on the porch with a flashlight. The beam danced across the siding. Jamal opened the door halfway and kept the chain on. He was polite. Good evening, sir, the deputy said. We received a call asking for a wellness check. On me? Jamal asked, surprised. I am fine, thank you. Who called? I don't have that info, the deputy said. Can I come in and look around? Jamal kept his voice calm and steady. No, thank you. I am okay. Is there a case number? The deputy's light moved from the porch light to the hedge and back. We just need to confirm you're okay. I am, Jamal said. I can show my ID at the door. And please, may I have your name and badge number? Also, the call for service number for my records. The deputy took a breath and read his name and badge number from his chest. He gave a call number. He did not push. Jamal thanked him for his time, wished him a safe night, and closed the door. He wrote the details on a sticky note and placed it on his binder. Then he opened a simple notes app and typed the date, time, and the deputy's information. He saved it and backed it up to the cloud. In the morning, he filed a public records request to the sheriff's office. He asked for the call for service log, the origin of the wellness check if allowed by law, and any body cam or dash cam footage from that visit. He also asked for radio traffic from 5 minutes before and after the call. He wrote in plain words, checked his spelling, and sent it. 2 days later, he was driving home at twilight. The sky was the color of the inside of a shell. As he approached the community gate, he saw red and blue lights in his rearview mirror. A patrol car followed him. He pulled to the side and turned off the engine. He placed his hands on the wheel where they could be seen. He looked forward and took a deep breath. The same deputy walked up. Good evening again. Good evening, Jamal said kindly. I observed a rolling stop at the sign back there, the deputy said. License and registration, please. Jamal handed them over. He asked, May I know if your body cam is on? It is, the deputy said. Thank you, Jamal replied. He did not argue about the stop. He did not raise his voice. He looked straight ahead and stayed quiet. His dash cam, already mounted on the windshield, blinked its small recording light. After a few minutes, the deputy returned. He gave a warning instead of a citation. He spoke in an even tone. "Drive safe," he said. "I will," Jamal answered. He waited until the patrol car moved, then drove home slowly. In his garage, he sat for a moment with his hands on the steering wheel. He could feel his heart steady and strong. He got out, went inside, and wrote down the time of the stop, the location, and the words, "Body cam was on." He saved the note. He added it to his growing timeline. He emailed the sheriff's public records desk again, adding that stop to his request. That weekend, the HOA board posted a notice about a violation hearing for a group of residents. Jamal's name was on the list. The meeting would be in the small community room near the pool. He prepared the same way he always did. He printed his photos again with clear labels. He printed the section of the HOA rules that matched each item. He clipped everything together with tidy binder clips. When he arrived at the lot, he saw the white pickup parked near the door. He also saw a patrol car idling in the far corner. The deputy was inside, looking down at something in his lap. The board member with the tidy hair stood outside the room, for a moment, speaking softly into her phone. She glanced across the lot and seemed to nod in the patrol car's direction. Jamal did not jump to conclusions. He simply noted the time on his watch, took a brief photo of the lot from public space, and walked inside. The hearing felt quick and cold. Residents sat in folding chairs. A board member called names. People spoke for a minute or two each. Some were nervous. Some were upset. Jamal waited his turn. When they called him, he stood and spoke clearly. He showed his photos and the rule sections. He asked that corrections be recorded and fines removed. He was polite. The board member with the tidy hair did not look at his photos long. She said the board would deliberate. He thanked the panel and sat down. After the meeting in the parking lot, he saw the board member walk close to the patrol car window. She leaned in and said something short. The deputy shook his head once. Jamal could not hear. He did not try to get closer. He did not want a scene. He walked to his car, sat down, and wrote a small note on his phone. Board member spoke to deputy after hearing. 7:42 p.m., lot near pool. He saved it. That night he wrote to a local reporter. He had heard of this reporter from Rosa. The reporter was known for public records work and calm stories about city processes. Jamal introduced himself in 3 clear lines. He described the timeline: letters, photos, wellness check, traffic stop, hearing. He attached 1 page with dates and times, and 1 photo that showed the measuring ruler beside his hedge. He asked for general advice on how to request records in the right way. The reporter wrote back the next morning. The message was short but kind. It included a line about the state law and a simple template. Ask for CAD logs, computer-aided, dispatch, call for service entries, and body cam for specific date and time windows. The reporter suggested asking for audio, video, and any associated notes. The reporter also said, "Keep everything polite and factual. You're doing this right." Jamal felt a small strength spread in his chest when he read those words. He sent a new, more complete records request. He included exact windows, down to the minute, for each event he had logged. He asked, where allowed, for the caller category on the wellness check. He also asked the HOA again for inspection times and any photos they took. The next day, another letter came from the HOA. It did not mention his hearing. It added a sentence about a possible lien date if fines were not paid by the end of the month. Jamal set the letter on the counter and looked out the window at his lemon tree. He felt worry in his stomach, but worry did not control him. He did the next right thing. He emailed a small local legal aid clinic. He asked for a brief consult about HOA procedures. He sent scans of his letters and photos. He did not expect full help. He only wanted to check if his record-keeping and requests made sense. A volunteer attorney wrote back 2 days later. The note was practical. Check your CC&Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Many require a cure period and a good faith reinspection before fines escalate. Send a certified letter citing the sections. Jamal opened his binder to the CCNRs. He found a section that said residents must get a clear chance to fix a problem before fines increase. He highlighted it. He typed a short, kind letter to the board. He cited the section numbers. He attached photos with timestamps. He asked for written confirmation that corrections were recorded and fines paused. He printed the letter and mailed it certified. He kept the receipt and a copy of the signature return card when it arrived. He placed both in his binder under a new tab, Certified Mail. He also bought a small doorbell camera. He installed it with careful steps and connected it to cloud storage. He checked that the angle covered the porch and the walkway. He tested the sound. He tested the motion alerts. Then he checked his dash cam settings and turned on auto-upload when the car connected to his home Wi-Fi. It made him feel calm to know that if something happened, the record would save itself while he slept. One afternoon, while he was jogging around the block, the patrol car rolled beside him for a few seconds, then stopped. The deputy stepped out. "Afternoon," he said. "Afternoon," Jamal replied. He slowed to a walk and kept a little distance. "Just checking in," the deputy said. "Got another call about you." "I am just jogging," Jamal said kindly. "Okay," the deputy said. He looked down at his chest and pressed a small button. "You mind giving me your name and address again?" Jamal gave his name and pointed to his house on the next street. He spoke respectfully. He did not joke. He did not argue. The deputy nodded, said, "Have a good day," and returned to the car. The entire exchange lasted less than a minute. Jamal, why? The first email that changed everything did not look special. It had a plain subject line, a short greeting, and one link. Jamal clicked it and watched the little circle turn as the page loaded. Then a video window opened. The image showed the community center parking lot the night of the violation hearing. The timestamp glowed in the corner. He could hear air moving and the soft rattle of keys. The camera tilted as the deputy sat in his patrol car. The lot lights made soft pools on the pavement. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the board member with the tidy hair stepped into view near the driver's window. She leaned down. Her voice was low, but the tiny microphone on the deputy's vest still heard more than she expected. "It keeps coming back to the same house," she said. "We need this problem gone. I've already helped the community fund this month. Surely, there's a way to clear this up." The deputy's voice was quiet. "Ma'am, we have to follow procedure." There was a small pause. Shoes shifted on pavement. Far away, a filter pump by the pool hummed. "I understand," she said, "but we need real action, not warnings. He's making us all look foolish with those papers." A finger brushed the camera, and there was a faint beep like someone had pressed a button and hoped the sound would do something. The image stayed steady. The audio dipped for a second and then came back stronger, as if the mic had caught the edge of a sleeve and freed itself. The deputy spoke again, even softer. "We'll handle calls as they come. Let's keep this by the book." Jamal paused the video and stared at the frame. His own car was just visible 2 rows over, the place where he had sat and written the note on his phone. He rewound 10 seconds and listened again. Then he wrote down the timestamp and the 2 key lines in his timeline. His hands were steady. He saved the video to 2 drives and a cloud folder, then called the reporter. They watched the clip together over a simple screen share. The reporter said little at first. They rewound and listened again with headphones. "Note the beep," the reporter said quietly. "That's often the mute or mark button. Some models only mark the clip. Either way, you have a solid timestamp." "What do I do next?" Jamal asked. "Send a narrow follow-up request," the reporter said. "Ask for the 3 minutes before and after this clip. Ask for the body cam, policy section on muting. Ask for CAD entries for the parking lot during that meeting." Jamal did it that night. He kept the tone polite. He cited the exact times from the corner of the video. He attached a still image that showed the board member's shoes by the patrol car door without naming her. He asked for the policy in simple words. When can a deputy mute, and how is that recorded? The next morning, The HOA sent another letter about fines. It did not mention the hearing. It did not mention the certified letter he had sent with proof of correction. It added a new sentence about a deadline for lien. He felt a thud in his chest, but he did what he always did. He scanned the letter. He saved it. He wrote a short reply that included the exact section of the CC&Rs about a cure period and requested a reinspection with date and time. He mailed a copy by certified mail again. By afternoon, the sheriff's office replied with a short note. Additional video under review. Policy attached. The policy was clear. Muting was allowed only during personal medical information, confidential informants, or privileged conversations, and each mute must be announced on camera before and after. The clip in Jamal's folder had no such announcements. He added the policy to his binder under a new tab labeled Policy. He felt the small click of something lining up. 2 days later, a second link arrived. It was the same parking lot, a slightly wider angle, and the 3 minutes before. Jamal could hear casual radio traffic, a plate number across town, a request for backup miles away. Then a voice on the radio mentioned the community room. Unit near the pool lot, stand by. HOA representative requested presence tonight. The deputy acknowledged. The camera image held the quiet lot. Jamal could hear the board member's footsteps before he saw her. He watched the exchange again. When the beep came this time, he heard another faint sound in the background, like the deputy's radio switching channels. There was no muting for policy reasons announcement. When the clip ended, the system immediately delivered the 3 minutes after. In that part, the board member stepped away, and the deputy sat still for a long moment. Then he spoke into his radio in a normal, steady tone. No enforcement action. Community stand by. Jamal and the reporter watched it together again. The reporter did not raise a voice or push excitement. You have a pattern, the reporter said, and you have the policy. I'll ask the sheriff's office for comment. That afternoon, the reporter sent Jamal a draft of a short, careful article. It did not accuse, it described. It listed the dates of the wellness check, the traffic stop, the jogging contact, the hearing night, and the parking lot clip. It included a quote from the policy and a statement from the sheriff's spokesperson. We take policy compliance seriously. Internal review is underway. The story asked the HOA for any inspection logs and noted that a certified letter citing a cure period was pending reply. Jamal read the draft and felt a strange mix of relief and caution. He agreed with the facts and said thank you. When the article published the next morning, things in the neighborhood shifted a little. People did not crowd Jamal's door. They did not speak loudly in the street. They sent small messages. Saw the story. Glad you're staying calm, wrote Mr. Lee. Your lemon tea soon? Wrote Rosa with a smile emoji. A young couple down the block forwarded their own letter with a timestamp that did not match their security camera. They asked how to do a records request. Jamal shared the simple template the reporter had given him. Ask for times, he wrote. Keep it polite and clear. By noon, the HOA sent an email to the community list. It called the article misleading and said audio can be taken out of context. It did not mention the policy quote. It did not mention the cure period section. It set a special meeting for the following week. Jamal printed the email and placed it behind the policy tab. He did not reply. Internal Affairs reached out the next day. The email was brief and professional. It asked to schedule a meeting. It asked him to bring any records he felt were relevant. It reminded him that they could not share all details of an active review. He wrote back and offered 2 times. He set the binder by the door. The meeting was in a quiet office with neutral walls and a soft hum of air conditioning. 2 IA investigators sat across from him. Their questions were calm. They asked for dates. They asked for copies. They asked if he had any other interactions. Not on the list. Jamal answered simply. He slid the binder across the table. The lead investigator turned pages and stopped at the policy section. Thank you, she said. This helps. Have you felt unsafe? I have felt pressure, Jamal said in simple words. I have not been harmed. and I am grateful for that. I only ask for fair rules." The investigator nodded. "We will reach out if we need more." She asked him not to discuss the details of their questions. He agreed. He left the office and sat in his car for a moment before starting the engine. He thought about how different the silence of an office felt from the silence of his kitchen. Both were steady in their own way. That evening, Jamal's doorbell camera recorded the board member walking past on the sidewalk without looking toward the door. She moved quickly, like someone trying to get through a rain shower that wasn't there. Jamal did nothing. He made tea. He updated his timeline with one line. IA meeting, copies provided. He closed the document and went to bed early. The next morning, the sheriff held a short press briefing on a different topic. At the end, a reporter asked about body cam policy. The sheriff answered in general terms. "We remind all personnel, often, cameras protect the public and officers. Mutes must follow policy. Reviews are underway when concerns are raised." It wasn't dramatic. It didn't need to be. The words were enough for now. Jamal copied a few lines into his notes with the date. At the HOA special meeting, the room was full. People who had never spoken before took the microphone for their 1 minute. They asked about inspection logs. They asked why notices kept coming to the same homes. They asked if appeals would be posted online. The board member with the tidy hair said the board was committed to compliance. A second board member, an older gentleman with kind eyes, cleared his throat and asked if they could vote to publish inspection times and photographs with dates for any future notices. The room clapped in a soft, careful way. The motion carried. Jamal sat near the back and did not speak. He wrote the vote in his binder. That week, the sheriff's office released one more clip, the radio call before the first traffic stop. It was short, a single line. "Caller near HOA office reported vehicle. Unit 12, check it out." There was no reason listed, just check it out. It wasn't a crime to call. It wasn't even unusual. But lined up with the other dates and times, it showed a thin thread running through the weeks. Jamal added it to the timeline and printed a new front page. The legal aid clinic sent a follow-up note. It suggested filing a simple request for a hearing on the fines under the CCNRs, now that the board had voted to publish inspection times and photos. Jamal did that. He asked that his past corrections be recognized and that fines be paused until logs could be confiscated. The week after the article, the air felt different on Jamal's street. It was not loud. It was not chaotic. It was something quieter and stronger, like a door that had been stuck for a long time, finally beginning to move. On Monday morning, an email from Internal Affairs arrived. It thanked Jamal for meeting with them and asked for permission to collect copies of the porch video from his doorbell camera and the dash cam clip from his car. It also asked if he would consent to a walkthrough at his home to understand where the porch light faced and how the hedge was measured. Jamal read the email twice. He replied with a simple yes, listed 2 times that worked for him, and added, "Please let me know if I should prepare anything else." He then made a pot of tea, opened his binder, and added a new tab labeled IA Requests. That afternoon, the sheriff's office posted a short public note. "We are reviewing body-worn camera use related to recent community concerns. While that review is underway, the deputy involved will be assigned to non-field duties." The statement did not use big words, it did not point fingers, it said enough. Jamal copied the note, printed it, and placed it in his binder under Policy and Updates. He took a breath, long and even, and went back to his bookkeeping work. By evening, neighbors were different too. They did not crowd, they did not gossip loudly, they did small helpful things. Mr. Lee set a bag of stamps on Jamal's porch with a note, "For your certified letters." A young mother from 2 houses over forwarded a PDF of her own inspection notice that showed a timestamp right in the middle of the school pickup hour when she was not home. "How do I ask for the log?" she wrote. Jamal sent her the template and told her to ask for inspection photos, time of visit, and measuring method, the same way he had done. On Tuesday morning, the HOA called an emergency board meeting. The room was full before the start time. People sat on the floor. Some stood along the walls. The chair began with a calm voice. We want to hear your concerns and fix what needs fixing. The board member with the tidy hair spoke later. She said inspections were important. She said rules protect property values. She said the article had created confusion. Her voice was steady, but her eyes moved quickly as she spoke. An older gentleman on the board lifted a hand. With respect, he said, we should vote tonight to publish inspection logs, date, time, and photos, for any notice sent after today. We should also offer re-inspections at no cost when a resident shows a correction. The room clapped softly. The chair called for a vote. Hands went up around the table. The motion passed. Jamal did not speak in that meeting. He watched. He wrote down the time the vote was taken. He added it later to his timeline with a short note. Transparency on logs approved. After the meeting in the parking lot, small groups formed. Some residents shared their stories in low voices. Others took copies of a simple one-page sheet the legal aid clinic had sent, titled, Your HOA Rights at a Glance. Jamal tucked 2 copies in his binder. He walked to his car and noticed the lot felt lighter than other nights, as if the ground itself had unclenched a little. The next day, the reporter called. IA will not share their interviews, the reporter said. But they did confirm they pulled radio logs, CAD entries, and all body cam clips for the dates you listed. They also requested the deputy's training record on body-worn camera policy. The reporter then said something simple and important. This is moving. It is slow, but it is moving. Late that afternoon, a new email from the sheriff's office landed in Jamal's inbox. It contained 2 items. The first was a written copy of the body cam policy section on muting, the same one Jamal had printed, but now with a signature page showing that all deputies had acknowledged it during training in the spring. The second was another video link, more minutes from the parking lot camera, this time continuous from the moment the deputy parked to 5 minutes after the board member walked away. Jamal clicked the link and watched. The camera sat still. The lot lights buzzed. There was no private medical conversation. There was no confidential informant. There was only the soft sound of a breezy night and the brief exchange already seen, including the little beep that had not been followed by any spoken mute on or mute off statement, as policy required. Jamal wrote, no announced, mute beside the timestamp and added a small star. The sheriff's spokesperson sent a short comment to the reporter that evening. We do not prejudge findings. However, policy reminders will be delivered to all units this week, and additional training will be scheduled. The reporter included that line in a second article that focused on policy, not personalities. The piece showed screenshots of the policy page, with personal signatures blurred, explained in simple terms what announce before and after muting means, and ended with a clear sentence. Cameras protect everyone when used as written. Thursday brought something new from the HOA. An email to all residents stating that all fines for notices issued in the last 60 days would be paused while inspection logs were compiled and published. The message also invited residents to request no-cost re-inspections. It was not an apology, but it was action. Jamal printed the email, placed it under his HOA Actions tab, and felt a weight lift a little from his chest. That same day, Internal Affairs came to Jamal's house for the walkthrough. 2 investigators arrived in a quiet sedan. They wore simple clothes and carried notepads. We appreciate your cooperation, the lead investigator said. They stood on the sidewalk and looked at the porch light, then at the hedge, then at the distance from the mailbox to the curb. They took a few measurements. They asked if the doorbell camera time matched his computer clock. Jamal showed them the app. He did not talk too much. He answered what was asked. Before they left, the investigator said, "We will follow the facts where they lead." Jamal nodded. He liked that sentence. Facts have their own steady legs. Friday, afternoon, the district attorney's office released a brief note. We have received materials related to body-worn camera use and are reviewing them for any possible policy or legal concerns. This review does not assume wrongdoing. Jamal did not cheer. He did not post online. He printed the note and added it to the binder. In the evening, the doorbell rang. It was Mr. Lee with a small cardboard box. Inside was a simple handheld ruler that extended with a metal tape. "For your hedge," Mr. Lee said, half joking, half serious. Jamal laughed softly and thanked him. They talked on the porch about small things, the weather, the dogs, a new child on the block learning to ride a bike. It felt good to speak about normal life again, even for a short time. Over the weekend, more neighbors asked for help with records, requests. Jamal made a one-page guide on his computer with 3 sections: what to ask for, how to be specific, and keep it polite. He printed a stack and left it in a clear folder by his front door with a sign that said, "Take 1. He also created a simple shared spreadsheet, names optional, where neighbors could list the date and time of any inspection or contact, so patterns could be seen without anyone raising their voice. He kept the sheet neat and clear. He believed in the power of a clean line of dates and times. On Monday, the HOA posted the first set of inspection logs on its website. The page was plain but useful: address, date, time, rule cited, and a small thumbnail of any photo taken. Jamal scrolled. He saw his address listed with dates he recognized. He clicked the thumbnails. The photos were not sharp. 2 were taken from far away. 1 had a timestamp that did not match the letter he had received. He took screenshots, labeled them with the file names shown on the site, and placed them in his binder. He did not rush to accuse. He simply lined them up in his timeline. The legal aid clinic called that afternoon. With the fines paused and logs posted, the volunteer attorney said, "You can request a formal hearing to clear your record and remove the lien threat. Send a letter that lists each correction date next to each notice date. Ask that the board acknowledge them in writing." Jamal drafted the letter, attached his photos with dates, and mailed it certified. He put the receipt in the certified mail tab and set a reminder to check for the return card. The reporter's second article had ripple effects too. A city council member asked the sheriff to attend the next council meeting to speak about body-worn camera policy. The sheriff agreed. The meeting was short on speeches and long on specifics. The sheriff walked through the policy line by line and explained the reason for announcing a mute. It tells the public when the record pauses and why. He ended with a promise. "We will reinforce this in training and in practice." Jamal watched the recording later and wrote 2 lines in his notes. Policy explained in public. Training promised with dates. Meanwhile, Internal Affairs requested one more thing: permission to review the automatic upload logs on Jamal's dashcam to confirm the timing of the traffic stop and jog contact. He granted it. He wanted all clocks aligned: his clock, their clock, the camera clocks. One truth is easier to see when all the clocks agree. On Wednesday, the HOA responded to his hearing request. The letter was short and to the point. "Your request is granted. Fines related to items corrected by the dates you provided are dismissed. The lien process is halted." Jamal read those lines twice. He placed the letter in the binder and closed the cover with both hands for a moment. Morning light touched the lemon tree outside Jamal's window. The leaves held small drops of water from last night's sprinklers. The street was quiet. A dog barked once in the distance, and then stopped. Jamal stood at the sink with a clean cup and made tea. He did not rush. He watched the steam rise and thought about the last few weeks. He felt a calm he had not felt in a long time. He still kept his binder on the table. He still saved his emails and videos, but the binder felt lighter now. Like a finished book you keep on a shelf for reference, not a heavy weight you must carry each day. A message arrived from Internal Affairs at 9 in the morning. It was short and careful. It said the review had closed. It said the deputy would receive formal discipline and training for body-worn camera policy mistakes. It said policy reminders were already in place for the whole department. It said the audit trail confirmed the moment when the button was pressed without any spoken mute on or mute off, as the rules required. It also said there was no record of any hidden plan beyond the calls in the parking lot talk. The words were clear and simple. The message ended with one more line. Thank you for your patience and your cooperation. Jamal read it twice. He felt no wish to celebrate, in a loud way. He felt gratitude for steady work done in the right order. He printed the email and placed it in the binder under Policy and Outcomes. Then he sent a thank you note back to Internal Affairs. He kept his note short. He wrote that he appreciated their time and their respect. At noon, the sheriff held a small press update at the county building. Jamal did not go. He watched the recording later. The sheriff spoke calmly. He explained the rule about announcing any pause in recording. He explained why the rule matters, not because the public wants drama, but because a clear record protects everyone. He said the deputy would complete extra training and would be moved back to field duty when that training was done. He also said, the department would publish a simple guide for the public on how body cameras work and how to make a record request. The most important sentence came near the end. Transparency is not a favor we give. It is a duty we owe. Jamal wrote that line in his notebook and underlined it once. The HOA also made changes. The board published a list of actions with dates. All inspection notices sent in the last 60 days were paused, then reviewed with photos and timestamps. Where the timestamps did not line up or the photos were unclear, the notices were removed. The board voted to post inspection logs online within 3 days of any new letter going out. They also added a free re-inspection process and a plain language appeal form that fit on one page. The board member with the tidy hair stepped back from inspection duties and later resigned from the board. The board thanked her for her past volunteer time. No one clapped. No one jeered. It was just a simple statement read in a calm room. A week later, the HOA sent Jamal a letter that said his fines were fully dismissed. The lien threat was removed in writing. The letter also said, "We acknowledge your corrections by date and time as listed." The words felt clean and final. Jamal put the letter in the binder. He sent a short reply. Thank you for confirming. He also sent a second message to the board chair. He offered to share his one-page guide on requests and timelines with the new resident committee. The chair accepted at once and asked if he could help train volunteers on how to line up dates and files. Jamal made a simple slide deck at his kitchen table. It had 5 steps: keep notes, label files by date and time, be polite, ask for logs, and check policy. He added small screenshots of file names and timestamps. He kept the words big and friendly. He titled the last slide, Kindness and Facts. He smiled at the title when he finished. It sounded like the 2 hands that had helped him walk through the last months. When the resident committee met in the community room, the chairs were full. People brought notebooks. Some brought cookies. The mood was soft and steady. Jamal stood at the front and talked in a clear, calm voice. He did not make himself the center. He kept the focus on steps anyone could follow. He showed how to write a short request. He showed how to take a photo from the sidewalk and save it with the date in the file name. He showed how to make a simple timeline like the one he kept in his binder. He ended with the same line he had taped on his fridge. Stay calm. Be kind. Keep proof. The room nodded like a slow wave. Someone clapped. Then everyone did. After the meeting, a young neighbor walked up with a shy smile. I kept thinking I had to fight, he said. I see now I just need to be clear. That is a kind of strength, Jamal said. Clarity is strong. The reporter called the next day. The voice was warm. I'm doing a small follow-up, the reporter said. The sheriff's guide for the public is going online. The city council might post it on their site too. The HOA board sent me their new appeals form and it really is 1 page. How do you feel about the way it ended? I feel thankful that we have a path, Jamal said. I did not want anyone hurt. I wanted fair steps. We have fair steps now. The reporter paused and then said, That answer is very you. They both laughed softly. The story on the website that night was short and simple. It did not spike the ball. It listed the changes and linked to the new forms. It closed with a quiet line. In a season of heat, one resident kept to light and left a map for others. Life in the neighborhood returned to its old rhythm. but it also held a new layer. When the white pickup was replaced by a small electric golf cart for the new inspector, no one frowned. The new inspector wore a sun hat and carried a tablet. She waved at people and introduced herself by name. She followed the new steps. If she saw a problem, she took a photo with the date and time and sent it with a polite note and a link to the rule in plain words. If someone fixed the issue, she returned and took a confirmation photo and closed the file. She printed thank you cards for quick corrections. She posted logs every Friday. The logs were short and neat. People read them and felt calm. One Saturday, the sheriff stopped by the community as part of a coffee with residents event. The table by the pool held cups, a box of donuts, and a stack of the new public guides about cameras and records. Jamal did not seek the sheriff out, but the sheriff saw him and walked over. The sheriff's handshake was firm and quiet. "Thank you for your patience," the sheriff said. "Thank you for staying respectful when it was not easy." "Thank you for the clear policy steps," Jamal said. "They help more than you know." They spoke for only a minute. It was enough. Jamal took one public guide and put it in his binder. He did not need it for himself anymore, but he liked to have a copy for anyone who might ask. At home, he looked at his porch light from the sidewalk and smiled. It cast a soft glow on the path. He checked the hedge height with the ruler Mr. Lee had given him. It sat below the number. He trimmed one small branch and made the top neat again. Then he brought a young tree from the side of the house to the front yard. It was a small evergreen with a straight, hopeful trunk. He dug a tidy hole, set the tree in place, and packed the soil with his hands. He added a small sign at the base that said, "Planted in Hope." He did not tell anyone about the sign. He did not need to. It was for his own heart. Rosa came by in the afternoon with 2 cups of lemonade. They sat on the porch steps and looked at the new tree. "It suits the yard," she said. "It suits my mind," Jamal said. "It reminds me that good things grow slowly and stay." A car drove past and waved. Children rode bikes in a circle and shouted happily. Sprinklers clicked on as the sun dipped lower. The sound of the street was once again the same old music. Wheels on pavement, feet on sidewalks, quiet voices practicing kindness. That night, Jamal opened his binder and added one last page behind the front cover. It was not a record. It was a letter to himself. He wrote in simple lines, "When something feels unfair, slow down. Ask for the rule. Ask for the log. Ask for the timestamp. Keep your words gentle. Do not be afraid of paper. Paper can be your friend. A camera is not a weapon. It is a mirror. Mirrors are honest. Stay calm. Be kind. Keep proof." He slid the letter into a clear sleeve. He closed the binder and placed it on the top shelf of his bookcase. Weeks passed. The lemon tree made new leaves. The small evergreen took hold. The new appeals committee wrote a guide that anyone could understand. The sheriff's office posted the camera guide in 3 languages. The city council added a page on how to ask for public records without stress. The community held a good neighbor night in the park with music, a table for forms, and a big sign that said, "We keep our street fair." People signed up for little tasks, checking playground bolts, refilling the dog waste bag stand, helping new families learn the rules in friendly words. At the end of the evening, a little boy pointed at Jamal's binder on the table and asked, "What's that?" Jamal knelt and smiled. "It's a book of dates and pictures," he said. "It helps me remember the truth." The boy nodded and asked if he could draw in the notebook beside it. Jamal said yes. The boy drew a simple house, a small tree, and a smiling sun. He wrote one word at the top, big and clear: peace. Later, when the lights in the park turned off and people walked home, Jamal carried the binder under his arm, not like a shield, but like a tool that had done its job. He set it down on his kitchen table and turned off the porch camera view on his phone. He did not need to.